Hey again, it's Christina from Sunshine and Flora. So it's a Friday afternoon. I have a couple hours left before I have to pick up my daughter, and I'm doing some seedling maintenance. So I thought I would set up the camera and bring you guys along. I have numerous projects that I have been trying to get done for probably like 2 weeks. One of them is this Fama blue and white pincushion flower. It's looking amazing, but holy cow, it needs potted up. So this is one of the things I'm going to share with you. I got a brand new soil blocker that these will pop into, so I want to show you guys that. I'm also going to be putting out some sticky cards for some fungus gnats. I'm going to be fertilizing. I need to do something with my snapdragons because they're looking a little crazy. Thin them out or something. And then I also have some lisianthus and other things to transplant. So I'm just going to be working on my seedlings for the next couple hours, and I'll just show you everything that I'm doing. So the first thing I need to do is make a little more mix for my soil blocker. I'm almost out, so I need to grab my compost. That looks perfect. So the compost that I use is the Vermont Fort V compost. I will link it down below. I have had really good luck with it. It's a really nice consistency, and I like it pretty wet. I like a little water to be able to squeeze out of it because I feel like the soil blocks just really press into the mold a lot easier. So I'm going to wash my hands and I'm going to go grab that new soil blocker. All right, you guys, so this is my new soil blocker, and holy cow, it's kind of a beast. Look at it in size compared to this one. It's pretty big. So this is the mini one, and it holds 20 mini soil blocks. These are 2-inch soil blocks. It holds 4. And basically, you put the plug in the bottom of it and see how that black square is at the bottom. That is the size of the mini soil block. And I'm going to make a whole bunch of these soil blocks, and putting this plug in will keep that area open. And then I will plop my scabiosa right into the new soil blocks, so I'm transplanting it into the larger size. So when I say it out loud, I think it should work. We will find out. I think I have those in right. Also, I think this is going to be a good place for these. I feel like they're just a little tall to put in a tray like this for watering. So I know that there's grooves in here, but I'm going to put them in this tray. I just feel better about putting this big of a soil block in a tray that has higher sides. So let's get some of these made, and then we'll see how easy they pop in. All right, I got my whole tray of new soil blocks made. They look really good, and it wasn't super hard. So I don't actually know how many I have here. Let me count. 40, and on this tray I have 80. So I'm going to need to make another tray of these. But this will be really easy because I'll just do 1 tray blue and 1 tray white. And there's not even a pincushion flower actually in all of these, and so I probably don't even have to make a whole cell tray. But anyway, so this is what the little seedling looks like in the soil block, and there are white roots coming out of the bottom. These are kind of dry. I probably should have watered them first. All you do is pop it in. That's really easy. Well, this one seeded itself right in a crack, so I'm going to have to just kind of pot him up in here. It'll work. These Fama blue and Fama white pincushion flowers, I grew them for the first time last year, and gosh, they were beautiful. I didn't grow the white or the blue. I only grew the white, but it was one of my favorite accent flowers to use. They get so big. They bloomed a long portion of the season for me, and they're perennials in my area. So kind of a win-win. Now I have read that the plants themselves only last about 3 years. And so if you want to be able to keep, kind of a continuous stock, you do want to make sure that you're planting more, within a couple seasons. But I think that they are going to be a really great option for me. Oh, here's another one that seeded itself in the crack. Whoops. I should have watered these. You know what? I am going to give them a drink of water. Okay, so while those soak up the water, I think I'm going to go ahead and make another tray of these larger soil blocks. All right, back at it. These are much more hydrated now, and they are setting right into these large soil blocks, nice and easy. In fact, let me move the camera closer so that you guys can see exactly what I am doing. And here is a look at what the little soil blocks are. You can see this root coming all the way out. Now I'm using my dibber a little bit to kind of help push these into the hole, because you sow the pincushion flowers on the soil, and a lot of times, like this one is a little bit tippy, they won't be real strong down into the soil yet. So I like to just kind of push it in, and then that helps support it. So this one totally came out of the soil block, which that's okay. I'm just going to go ahead and put all the roots in the little hole, and then we'll just fill it with compost like that. So see how they push down in there so easy? Some of these are so big, the roots are so big that they're just kind of falling apart. I probably should have done this a while ago. Oh my gosh, I'm just demolishing some of these. The roots are so long. All right, well, that tray is done. I don't know if I like this process. I need to do one more tray because I need to get these taken care of regardless. And I do feel like this is going to be beneficial because these are perennials and I want them to be able to size up before I get them in the ground. There's certain things that I just really like to pot up, and perennials are one because I do like them to be sizable because they're going to be planted out there year after year. But gosh, I don't know. We'll just have to see. I really like soil blocking because it just seems so much faster than filling up a cell tray to me. But I'm wondering if it's going to only be something I like to do if it's things that I can keep in the soil blocks until I plant them out in the garden. I don't know that I loved this. I do know one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some vermiculite on top of this just to kind of keep the moisture in check and the algae in check. But I'm going to get that other tray done, and then we're going to move on to another thing that is a little more fun. Another task that I really need to get done today is combine some of these bigger trays into smaller trays. So this was a tray of dianthus, and I had horrible germination. I think it's just because they dried out. I have some new ones started and they're looking really good so far. So I don't know, maybe the seed was old, but you can see there's 0 seedlings in these soil blocks. And then I have some partial seedlings in these. So I'm just going to take the soil blocks off of this tray, move it to this tray so it does not take up as much space on my grow shelf. Move that whole one. And then these also need a really good watering. All right, so this just gets thrown away. Here is my new tray. I'm gonna water them, kind of push them together, relabel it, and these will grow back under my grow lights. They're pretty dry right now. I have all the other dianthus that I started, but since there are some good looking plants in here, I would like to save these. So then I just take masking tape and my garden marker and then just label the side. All right, these are soaking up water pretty quick. Just gonna kind of push them together. Okay, these are good. Now, when I do water my soil blocks, I do like to keep an eye on them for about 15 minutes. If there is extra water that has not soaked up in them in about 10 or 15 minutes, I pour that off because I don't want to overdo it. But usually they really soak up the water because mine always tend to need it. There are a couple dianthus that look like they are not growing into the soil very well, mostly because they were surface sown. So at this point, I'm also going to take my dibber and just push them down into the soil. Here's another tray that I need to do the same thing with. This is ageratum. 2 of the soil blocks look really good, and the rest do not. I think they just dried out. Get rid of these. I do also have some additional ageratum started. So this will kind of be my extra if these continue growing. But I think actually these look really good. One is just starting here, so I'm going to make sure that that soil block is nice and moist, especially from the top. All right, these will go on the shelf. So the next thing I'm going to do is do some fertilizing of some of my seedlings that have some sets of true leaves and are a little bit bigger. I probably should actually go ahead and fertilize those Fama pincushion flowers that we just potted up. And I'm using some Espoma liquid fertilizer. This says indoor houseplant food, but it does have pictures of flowers on it. So I'm just going to use it for today. I prefer the Grow Espoma liquid fertilizer, but I went to the store and I could not find it, so I have some on order. But this will work for now. I'm doing half strength and I will do it once a week. So what you want to do is you want to shake it up first, and I like the Espoma because it's organic and it smells kind of good. It's kind of weird. I think it smells like grape juice, which I know is super weird. But half strength for 2 gallons, I'm going to use 2 capfuls. So I'll pour 1, 2, and yeah, I don't know, I think it smells like grape juice, which is better than the fish emulsion. So now I just need to go fill this up with my water and we will go fertilize some seedlings. So some of the things I really need to fertilize are my snapdragons. They are at that point. These also need to be thinned out or transplanted, but I want to show you those in a little bit. I also am going to fertilize these dahlias that I have rooting. Just going to give them a really nice drink. Whoa, this is so full. There we go. Trying not to spill it. Okay, those will be really happy. I can also fertilize my snapdragons. This tray of stock could probably really benefit from some fertilizer. This actually, this is at a size to pot up, but because it's going to be going in the hoop house so soon, I'm just going to be leaving these in the soil blocks. This tray of feverfew desperately needs fertilizing and transplanting up. I don't think I'll get to this today, so I'm going to fertilize it. Okay, then down at the bottom here, this is a tray of snapdragons that I need to address. It really needs watering, but I need to pull both of these out and decide if I'm going to transplant any of them or just thin them. So we're going to do that next. But this is the tray of the Fama Blue that we just potted up. I know it's super wet, but I would really just like to pour a little bit of this fertilizer water in here just to try to soak that in a little bit. I'm probably going to end up pouring this out. Maybe not. That's soaking in pretty good. That's going to be okay. Okay. So these are the trays of snapdragons that I just showed you guys. Clearly they're doing awesome. They really need watering with the fertilizer, but I need to decide if I'm going to be transplanting any of these. These are all the hoop house snapdragons, and it looks like they're all the same colors. I have white lavender, shell pink, apple blossom, and Potomac sunrise. Again, these are all for the hoop house. I need to check my other trays quick over there. I think I have a lavender spot where I could actually use some. And so if that is the purpose, what I'm gonna do, let me this out of here. These are dry, so they're not popping out as good. What I would do is if I want to use some of these lavender ones, you can see there's 4 snapdragons in here. So with this particular plug, I either need to cut out 3 of them and leave the strongest one so it can grow on strong, or I'm gonna break this apart and leave one in here and take the other 3 and put it in another tray. So I think what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna assess how many I need in some other trays that are these varieties. And then after that, we'll just cut these out and fertilize them, and these trays will be done. All right, so I have decided one tray I am going to piece out to fill in another tray. This tray, however, I'm going to thin and call it good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go cell by cell, and I'm gonna get it down to 1 plant by simply cutting the tops off. And I like to try to keep the strongest, tallest plant in the cell. I also can feel right now that I am not going to get as much done today as I wanted to. Do you guys ever have that feeling? I feel like I need way more hours in the day. I always think that I'm going to get so much done, and then I never get as much done as I want to. So I'm probably going to get about half of these snapdragons taken care of that I wanted to, and then we'll have to do the rest next week. This weekend I'm leaving to go to a photography convention, so I'm going to be gone for a few days. So my husband is going to have to take care of all my seedlings. That was kind of why I wanted all of these, you know, prepped and dealt with before I left. But all he'll have to do is water them, and I'm actually going to water them really good before I leave tomorrow morning so that hopefully he won't have to do as much while I'm gone. Yeah. That's the situation. We also are supposed to get a big winter storm this weekend. I'm going to be getting out of town before the winter storm hits, but I might be delayed when I'm getting back to town. We'll see. All right, I'm going to move the camera in closer just so you can see this for a little bit. And then we will move on to another task, hopefully. Hopefully I can show you one more thing of seedling maintenance in this video. All right, so here's the tray of snapdragons, obviously. What I am doing is I'm just going cell by cell. I'm going to keep this guy, get rid of those 3. This cell looks kind of sad altogether. This tray, again, really needs watering. But I'm going to end up keeping it. And see, I'm just going through and thinning them out. Now, I know some of you like to keep the clippings that you cut off the tops and actually root them. I think that is a really great idea. However, I just do not have time for that, and I have enough trays started that I don't think that I need to do that. But if you need more snapdragons, like I could save this cutting and stick it in soil and it would root. Now you also can keep, snapdragons will grow when there are a couple snapdragons close together. So maybe I should be keeping a couple per cell. Maybe I'll start doing that. When you order plugs like from Farmer Bailey, a lot of times they will come with 2 plants per cell. Snapdragons are like that. My stock were like that last year. And so some plants are happy to share their cell with another plant. All right, so this tray is thinned out. It looks so much better. Here are all of the little cuttings that I took out of there, but gosh, it looks so much better. But oh my gosh, does it need watering? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna water it with my fertilizer water, and I'm gonna bottom water it. So I just lift up the cell tray and I put in, I maybe fill it a quarter way to the top. You want to do this on a level surface, of course. And you can see some of the roots, or I can anyway, coming out the bottom. That means they're really healthy plants. And what this will do is these will soak up water from the bottom. Now, I do want to check this in about 15 minutes, and any excess water that isn't absorbed, I want to pour it off because I don't want these to get waterlogged. Especially snapdragons, because they will die off. I had that problem last year. I think some of my trays got too waterlogged, but these are thinned. They have airflow. They have fertilizer, so they should really start thriving now. So the next thing I need to do is transplant some of those lavender snapdragons. I'm really running out of time, but I kind of wanted to at least show you a couple more things that I wanted to do today. I'm not going to get to it, but let me just point the camera to a couple things that need to be done, and then maybe that will be in a second video. Okay, so another thing I need to do is thin this tray and transplant into this tray. These are mahogany splendor hibiscus that desperately need to be potted up. I'm going to give them a good dose of fertilizer today just to make them a little happier, but next week these are going to get potted up. Here's a look at that feverfew that we fertilized. It is not supposed to be this yellow. It just really needs some nutrients. And look, you can see the water just sitting in there. It's been 15 minutes, so I need to pour that off now. I'm going to fertilize these trays of snapdragons and probably combine them into one tray because I have so many empty cells. Back in the back there are my dahlia cuttings that are very rooted and needed to be potted up. That will happen next week. And then over here is a tray of Lisianthus. These also need to be potted up into this tray of Lisianthus. There is room at the end of the tray, but right now I just have a couple of containers with soil blocks sitting there because that's the only room on the shelf. All right, so that's going to do it for this video. This was a little scatterbrained. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you got some information out of it on what I'm doing this time of year. I will make sure to keep you updated and probably film yet another video next week while I'm doing things. But anyway, time to wrap things up for the day. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Hope you're having a good start to the spring and not having a snowstorm like we are having. So stay tuned for a lot more. We'll see you soon.